Personally, I think single tonality chords are sort of very much sort of underlooked and underutilized. There are really two parts to this, so I thought we would just go through it sort of quite quickly. So this is a chord of C minor 7. Now, when we think about things like bass lines, where do bass lines come from, you know, or the sorts of structures that we could actually put in place. So a chord is organized as well as a simultaneous sound, hearing four notes together, which is that, right? So that's C, D sharp or E flat, G and B flat, or A sharp as it is there. Luckily live 11 is gonna fix that issue. So we won't have to have this kind of mini existential crisis of me going, it's B flat, and anyone looking at this going, but there isn't a B flat, there's an A sharp, you know, it's really B flat in C minor, and likewise the same with D sharp. But anyway, that's to come. So as well as being organized as a block of sound, right, there's that, we also have them as intervals from one to the next. So C to, there we go. So C to D sharp or E flat is a minor third. C to G is a fifth. And C to A sharp or B flat is what's known as the flattened seventh, the minor seventh, right? So it's C to D sharp, E flat. Sorry, I'm going to keep referring to it as E flat. Minor third, C to G, fifth, and C to B flat, up to B flat, minor seventh. Remember that we can also go in the opposite direction as well. We can go from C down to the B flat. That's also possible. So we should never ignore these kind of deviations, you know. So that's what we have there. So C to D flat, so this is how, or C to E flat, sorry, not D sharp. C to E flat is the distance of a minor third. G to B flat is also the distance of a minor third. Right? So what we can also do is to sort of drive this chord into two distinct kind of groups, each one separated by a minor third. C to E flat, G to B flat, right? So that means that a bass line could be the movement between those two sort of blocks. So let me put the chords back on here. We're not going to hear those anyway, but hopefully you'll see them come up on the chord. No, it only shows the one. So we'll see the bass notes, but we won't hear the outputs. Well, we'll hear the outputs, but we won't see them. So we can have that. I mean, one of the things that I sort of hear is almost like that bass line should be like an octave lower. So if it goes up, the next one should be down, right? Up, down. Right? So we've got them split into two sets of thirds, C to E flat, G to B flat. That's the pattern. Now the next pattern that we can also see is that C to G is a fifth, and E flat to B flat, that's the D sharp to the A sharp, are also fifths. That means that this chord can be organized into another set of two distinct groups, each being a fifth apart. C to G, E flat to B flat, right? So let me turn the chord tool off. There's the C and G, and there's the E flat and the B flat. Sonically, I mean, in terms of the interval sound, they're still fifths. Yes, it's going up, but the distance, the relationship is maintained. That means that could also be the source of a bass line. I'm going to drop this an octave. So that's C to G, E flat to B flat. And so on, right? So we could also use that as a source of sort of bass lines. we could, I'm just going to turn my fan on because I hear the processor fan has turned on this one. So sources for bass lines can also be derived from within the unit that we're dealing with, and the unit we're dealing with is this minor seventh chord. Of course, we also had it as a minor ninth so that we get that sweeter sound, but we can still use the what we call the root third, fifth, seventh as the source of the bass lines. So that's going in interval order. That's going from the lowest note of the chord. I'm going to drop this down an octave so that we can be in the right area. There we go. So that's going one after the other, going in interval, what we call interval order. So here we have them split into two sets of thirds, C to D sharp or E flat, G to B flat or A sharp. We can also reverse them. So as well as playing them from low to high, we can also play them from high to low, which means we could have E flat down to C, B flat down to G, could have that. We can also have, mix them up. You can have going up, down, right. It will start to merge into each other, but I think you get the idea. We can go from that one might be a better one than the previous one. So you can see that there are lots of different sorts of options that we could actually sort of explore and try out. The next one is the one by the fifths, so that's C to G, E flat, B flat. So we could go the other way. You could go down, B flat, G, there's also that, right? I mean, there are lots of kind of, whether they're permutations or whether they're options or they're combinations, because they become combinations when you take a few of these these sort of permutations and you start to combine them to sort of generate different kind of outputs. So they kind of become combinations, what is referred to as combinatronics. So we might well sort of go through that. Permutations just mean that we sort of articulate or identify all of the different unique sequences or instances that we can do. So looking at four notes, C, E flat, G, B flat, we could say, you know, how many unique sequences do we have? Well, we could have them in threes, you know, right? You can have them as groups of three as well if you wanted to do that. We can have them in arrayed as four, going down, going up, starting from the middle, G, right? Loads of different kind of versions. They just need to be kind of unique. I'm not necessarily saying that each one is going to be or going to result in the greatest music that you've ever kind of made, but you get to kind of look at your available set of, you know, notes or sort of options. You look at them and you think, how many options do I have? Because in many ways, when we sample a chord sound, and let's say that chord sound is C minor, we get kind of hoodwinked by the fact that it says C minor, and we sort of start to orientate ourselves in that sort of way. Whereas when you look at C minor or C minor 7 or C minor 9, you know, like the Goldie tune, you look at it as a kind of a unit of sound.